Another week and another edition of Hat-Tricks Weekly from inside the Axe-Tricks Lounge at the Danbury Ice Arena. I'm Doug Lattuca, joined by General Manager Matt Voity. Matt, how are you doing?
Good, Doug.
Good. How would you evaluate last weekend's series against the Port Huron Prowlers? You finished up the season series. You took 5 of 7 against them, but you split the weekend. Saturday, the exclamation point, one of the most exciting wins of the season.
Yeah, I think they were both tight games, very tight games. I think a little tighter than I would have liked, and I say that just because I think it had more to do with us than anything. I think we needed to come in with a little bit better mindset, and I thought we did that Saturday. I think going into the third, I think we're still learning to play with the lead. I think we took a tough penalty there that we didn't need to take. I think we still have a lot of young guys on the roster, and they have to learn this time of the year, like, things start to get magnified even more and more as the weeks go on, the games go on. And, how you play in the third, just because what you did for 40 minutes was really good doesn't mean it's going to translate into the third. You have to refresh and reset and come out for, really expect a battle no matter what the score is in that third period.
There were a few weekends where you saw the Prowlers a couple of times in Michigan and then here in Danbury. Did any of those games have that playoff intensity? They are fighting for better positioning in the Empire. You guys are in second place, holding off both Watertown and Port Huron. Did it have a playoff feel?
Yeah, it did. I think I paused because I think our group is, I think that's where we need to take a little bit of a step and understand, it's playoff hockey. Like what we did earlier in the year against any opponent, that's earlier in the year. That's November's news. Or December's news. It's not March. Teams get reinvigorated, the weather gets warmer, the sun comes out a little bit more. And that's where we need to take a step as a group. I think we're right there. I think it's a bit of a learning curve of pro hockey. Like guys are going to compete a little more than they did at the previous level.
What's the process like with some of the younger guys, getting them ready for playoff hockey? You've started that transition from wherever they were before to pro hockey, but now the push for the playoffs is upon us. The big boys are coming out, and points are up for grabs. How do you approach getting those young players in the mindset for postseason?
I think getting them to trust our system, trust what we've done, trust what they've done. You don't have to rethink it. You trust what you know, but you got to bring a little bit more intensity to it. This is where, we always talk about championships, and I mean, every team does. And this is where it has to actually mean something. It has to mean something to you to win here. And some of it is just experience. These games, I said to the group last week, after both games, I need you to learn from these experiences. I need you to learn right now from these experiences, because Port brought that playoff feel to it for sure. I think we're learning in some areas what that means and what that looks like. And that's where, these last, I don't even know how many games we have left, 13 games, are going to be huge for us going into the playoffs, and the lessons that we can learn, because Watertown's coming for us, Port's coming for us. We're in it's a really good spot to be in. At the same time, we have to understand everyone's coming for what we have.
Overtime had been a little bit of a struggle for you guys. You've won a number of games in a shootout. Saturday, did it feel like a monkey off the back getting that first overtime winner? And it was Kyle Gonzalez, who also had a game winner against the Prowlers a couple weeks back in McMorran Arena.
It's kind of a relief. You were there. I mean, you saw our 3-on-3 overtimes early in the season. It was a bit of a nightmare adventure, and everything wrapped into one. And it's gotten way better. And I think, even the night before when we were 3-on-3, we put ourselves in a bad position leading to that goal. And I think we learned from that. I think it showed on Saturday night. And right now, that's the biggest thing. I mean, not that wins are the biggest thing, of course, but for us, it's the lessons that we learn right now.
From what I've been able to see from the group, it seems like a win like that on Saturday in overtime although it's a big one, you guys seem to just trek along. Not too high, not too low. Is that the right perspective on things and the right attitude that you guys are taking, win or loss?
Oh yeah, I think that's something we've preached since day one. I mean, really, it goes back to, you know, when Billy was GM and head coach, and when we won, that group, I mean, it's like we still, at certain moments when we need to draw on our experience, we still talk about it. We're down 2-0 to Carolina, and the boys on the bus on the way back were not panicking. They weren't freaking out. I mean, go and win 3 straight, and that's, to be a champion, that's what you need. I mean, you're going to have that little bump in intensity, and you may have a little dip sometimes, but you don't stay there. And I think this group has done a really good job of it, maybe in a way, in a very low-key way of not getting too high and too low. And I think between October and December and maybe a little bit early January, I think we were learning that lesson and understanding, hey, like, every period's almost like a new period, and for both teams, and you can take advantage of that or you can get eaten up by it.
It's been a bit of a long season, right? It just goes along, games every weekend. You're approaching probably the dog days of the year. The playoffs will, of course, push up that intensity once again, but how do you keep everybody focused, keep them in their routines, knowing that the biggest hockey of the year is about a month away?
I mean, I think there's things you can do in practice, maybe change it up there a little bit. I think, we have the standings up in our room, so we know exactly where we are and how close we are. And, we get what every point means. I think, everyone's a little bit on their toes around the trade deadline naturally. I think, especially with the weather getting better outside, having, a few more team activities outside, kind of, sometimes you got to break up the routines for them to kind of stay in it, if that makes sense. So we're starting to get into that a little bit more, I think, with our schedule and how it's been the last couple of weeks. I think rest has been at a premium and is, still very important. I think, we have a 3-3, and then we're going up to Watertown in Binghamton, Thursday, Friday, so it's a quick turnaround, and, I think, having that rest is very key also.
And do you think the injection of the college players, their season's wrapping up, now they can sign here in the FPHL, you think that also helps push the energy and maybe motivate some guys who might be in a bit of a lull as we get towards the playoffs?
Absolutely. I mean, these are guys that are coming, they can play, and they're going to play. And, hey, like I think everybody in that room, and, Johnny and Kyle and myself have all said it from day one, like, we're going to go with the best lineup we can. Like, it's not, it's not personal. It's not anything. Like, we love you, but if you're not getting it done, we got to go with the guys who are going to get it done.
We spoke about the rookies months ago at this point, how they were transitioning, what that was like in the coaching role to get them up to speed. What have you seen in their development over the months? I mean, Gleb Van Durken leads the team in points and goals, among a slew of other players that have gotten the job done and stepped up into prominent roles with this team. What have you seen in terms of development with the young guys?
I think learning to play at this level week in, week out. I know I say that, it sounds repetitive, but it's so true. I think, you look at a Dylan Hullaby, who's right out of college, and, D3 schedules 25, 30 games. Now you're playing almost twice as many, and with a lot more difficult travel. So I think you have to learn how to manage your body, manage your emotions, manage your thoughts a lot better. I think Gleb went through that too. I think he kind of dipped down at one point in the year, and now he's coming back, and, understanding how to be consistent, and it really comes down to your decision making and making sure, you're in the right mindset to make the correct decisions within a game, because you only have a split second. You don't have a whole lot of time. I think now we're learning just how thin that margin can be sometimes between winning and losing. And to learn to be patient with the game, and, hey, it might be, after 2 periods where it's 0-0 or 1-0, you're up or you're down, and, it's going to be a tight intense third period and just being mentally prepared for that.
You talk about patience. Beginning of the season, it was up and down, around 500. More recently, specifically in the month of February, you guys were stacking up the wins. How did you keep the wheels on the bus, per se, in the beginning of the year, knowing that it would eventually come out with some positives, and now in second place, trying to secure that spot in the playoffs?
Well, I think it was definitely a group effort with Johnny and Gonzo, and I think showing them through video repeatedly, hey, like, we're close, we're there, like, we're just a little bit off. It's within our control. Mm-hmm. You know, the one thing I've always wanted players to understand is that there's a lot more in your control than maybe you realize. And if you can flush out, you know, whether it's the refs or whether it's this guy chirping at you or whatever, and you just focus on having that killer instinct of, you know, hey, this is the job I got to get done. I'm going to do it no matter what happens. And I think they see that, to their credit. I think we had to get to a low point. I think we probably did against Virginia. And, you know, I think to the boys' credit, I think since then, I think we've only lost maybe a handful of games, not even. You know, to their credit and to the captain's credit, you know, they've got them together, they've led the way, and they've responded. And I think they're still learning what they can be. You know, they're still learning what can happen. So I think early in the season, you know, you take advantage of the ups as much as you can and try to mitigate the downs just by showing them, you know, and being honest with them about where they are.
Schedule now, 3 games coming up against the Venom. Here at home, you had 2 versus the Prowlers last weekend. How does that help the group, knowing, all right, we're home for 2 weekends, we're in front of the home fans, we've got a chance against a team that plays just 45 minutes away from us in the Battle of 84, an opportunity for 9 points this weekend?
I think they love it. I mean, we had some crazy travel in February, and I mean, it's some of that was weather related. There's nothing you can do about it. I think being able to sleep in your own bed and kind of, you know, wake up and come to the rink on the morning of game day and then take a nap in your own bed, or, you know, be in familiar settings, I think it always helps. I think being able to get a little bit more rest always helps. I think being in front of our fans always helps. It gets the boys going.
Yeah, we'll be in Mississippi in the beginning of April, which should be fun as well, right on the beach, so that helps. It won't be snowing or raining or sleeting or ice everywhere, so we should – I hope not. Let's have our fingers crossed on that one. This is the second 3-game weekend against the Venom. That was the most recently you guys saw them in the Battle of 84. What were your takeaways from that team? There's been a lot of turnover, shake-up with their roster. Seems like they're getting a little bit more comfortable as they try to attempt to get that 5th and final playoff spot.
I mean, they have a high compete level. And, you know, as cliche as that sounds, you can't discount that at any level. I mean, a team that just comes out ready to compete, wanting to outcompete you, you know, is a dangerous team, regardless of whatever system they run or how well they run it, because they're just never going to give up. And I think, you know, that team over there, they've got some dangerous pieces, and they've got that compete component. So they're, you know, I think they won one against, you know, Blue Ridge, who's was a pretty good record. I think the night before they were close with them, they came back on them. You know, so it's a dangerous team that we have to be ready to handle.
You guys have the 3 games here. It should be a lot of fun. You come off that split against the Prowlers, and now you've got this Battle of 84 matchup. Some familiar faces on both sides. Points are up for grabs. Beginning of games have always been a point of emphasis that you've mentioned in these interviews. First 5 minutes and typically the last 5 minutes of each period, I think you seem to hone in on as the tone setters of the game and how the flow is going of these games. During this recent point stretch, a couple of losses here and there, but for the most part, you've come out of the last 2 months worth of games with points. How do you think your starts have been and ends to periods?
I think our starts have been better, but there's still work to do there. I think part of that goes back to what I was saying about learning how to play against these teams this time of the year and not allowing yourself to go on cruise control or kind of just assume that we beat them before, so we'll beat them again. I think we're still working on finishing periods and finishing games, and that's going to be experience. And I think last weekend provided some good lessons for us. But it's improving. It's been a point of emphasis really all year.
For the message for the fans for this weekend, to get them here to the arena, 3 games against a team that has an opportunity to be one of, if not the biggest rival in the league as the years go on, just based on proximity and where they are located. What's that message to get that fan off the couch? I know you guys enjoy watching the games on YouTube, but we'd love to have you here at the arena. What's the message to get them excited for this weekend?
Gotta be careful about what I say here. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be fireworks. There's going to be really good hockey. There's no better place to be than Danbury on a Friday or Saturday night during hockey season. It's and we're going to put on a pretty good show for you this weekend.
Love it. There's really nothing better that you can do Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this upcoming weekend. Hat-tricks and Venom at 7:30 Friday, 7 o'clock on Saturday, and then 3 p.m. on Sunday. Our only Sunday home game of the year. And you can skate with the team post-game. Skate rentals will be available. There's other promotions going on. Just go to danburyhattricks.com. You can check it out. Sign up if you fall within the group. And if not, just come on down. We've got the beer, the concessions, everything you want. Hat-tricks hockey coming up. 3 games at home as the push for the playoffs get going. Matt, any last words for the fans, the team? What are you thinking about for Friday night?
I'm just thinking about winning. That's it.
That's it. All about wins, all about points during this push. So the Hat-tricks are in town for 3 this weekend, and we will talk then here at the Danbury Ice Arena.